Hi, back on Two Kook U. That night felt different, as if even the air itself was holding its breath. The stage lights dimmed softly, the camera's spotlight slowly closed in, and amidst the expectant atmosphere, the names of Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo once again echoed in the hearts of fans. A story that had previously only existed in prayer and imagination seemed to have found its own path. In this thrilling story, Xiao Jean stood with trembling hands but a determined gaze. The faint smile that usually graced his face that night was replaced by teary eyes. There was no script, no rehearsal, just pure honesty. Everyone present sensed that this was no ordinary moment. Wang Yibo stood a few steps in front of him, silent, as if the world had stopped spinning. His face was calm, but his eyes held 1,000 conflicting emotions. He said nothing, but the silence spoke louder than words. Xiao Zhan took a deep breath. His voice trembled as he began to speak, not with beautifully crafted sentences, but with simple words that came from the depths of his heart. He told of his long journey, of his ups and downs, of the dark days he had gone through alone. Tears began to fall, not as a sign of weakness, but as a testament to his courage. Those tears were the accumulation of the pressure, doubt, and hope he had kept bottled up. The fans watching were swept away, feeling every emotion that flowed in that moment. In this story, the proposal wasn't just a question, but a confession. An admission that amidst the hustle and bustle of the entertainment world, behind the cameras and public expectations, there was a love growing slowly, quietly, yet powerfully. Xiao Zhan expressed it all with touching honesty. Wang Yibo looked down for a moment, as if gathering his own feelings. Time seemed to slow. The seconds ticked by with sweet tension. The fans held their breath, hoping, praying, and holding their emotions tightly. When Wang Yibo finally looked up, a small smile appeared on his lips. It was a simple smile, yet full of meaning. He stepped closer, gently wiping away Xiao Zhan's tears, a small gesture that made the atmosphere erupt with emotion. Xiao Zhan's tears grew louder, this time mixed with laughter. They were no longer tears of sadness, but of relief. It was as if the burden of years had crumbled in one brief moment. The love he had been harboring for so long finally had the courage to express, without a mask, without fear. Fans felt that those tears symbolized a long journey. A journey about surviving when misunderstood, about rising when knocked down, and about continuing to believe in love even when the world is often unkind. In this story, the proposal serves as a mirror for many. That love requires courage, and expressing it requires even greater strength. Xiao Zhan wasn't just proposing to Wang Yibo, but also proposing a future that was true to itself. Wang Yibo, in his own quiet way, expressed acceptance, not with a long speech, but with his complete presence. He stood there, a shoulder to lean on, an answer to a prayer never said aloud. The fans' cheers echoed, not as a sensation, but as a collective release of emotion. Many cried, many smiled, and many felt as if the story were part of their own life's journey. That unexpected moment became one of the most touching scenes in this version of Two Kook U. A story about unhurried love, about feelings that grow silently, and about the courage to finally tell the truth. Xiao Zhan, with his red eyes and sincere smile, looked lighter, as if after all the storms, he had finally found a haven. His tears testified that true love doesn't always come without pain, but always brings hope. Wang Yibo held his hand, and in that grip was a wordless promise. A promise to walk side by side no matter what. Not as a perfect legend, but as two people who chose to understand each other. The night wore on, but the echo of that moment still hung in the air. The cameras may have stopped rolling, but in the hearts of fans, the scene replayed itself endlessly. Every look, every breath, and every tear seemed to hold a story deeper than what was visible on the surface. Beneath Xiao Zhan's tears lurked the courage of a man who chose to be honest with his own feelings. He knew the risks, he understood how the world could turn cold in an instant. But that was precisely the power of that moment, when love no longer hid behind fear. Wang Yibo, with his composure, became the balance in the storm of overwhelming emotions. He didn't need to say much to convey his meaning. His mere presence was enough of an answer, enough of an invisible, strengthening embrace. For fans, this moment felt like a gift they never asked for but secretly hoped for. A reminder that behind the perfect public persona lies a fragile heart and feelings just as human as anyone else's. The story spread, not as gossip, but as a heartwarming tale. Many found courage in those tears. Many learned that crying isn't a sign of defeat, but rather proof that someone has fought as hard as they can. The proposal became a symbol of resistance against silence, against feelings long suppressed, against words they dared not say. Xiao Zhan chose to no longer remain silent, and that choice changed everything. In this version of the Two Kook U story, love isn't depicted as perfect. It comes with doubts, with tears, with wounds that still linger. But that's precisely what makes it so real and touching. Fans closed the story with their hearts filled with emotion. There was hope, there was warmth, and a renewed belief that love, in any form, is always worth fighting for. That moment wasn't the end, but the beginning of a more honest journey. And when the screen finally went completely dark, one feeling remained bright in everyone's hearts. That the story, whether real or imagined, had left a deep mark. A trace of the courage to love, of liberating tears, and of love that finally found its own voice. Touch fans knew that the story was likely born of imagination and a great love, but the emotions it left behind felt real. Because sometimes, stories like these are what give us the strength to continue believing in love. On the Two Kook U channel, this story lives on as a symbol that love, courage, and honesty always find their own way. And Xiao Zhan's tears that night will always be remembered, not just as happy tears, but as a sign of the heart's victory. Ultimately, this story concludes with one feeling that resonates with everyone: emotion. Emotion for the love fought for, emotion for the courage to be honest, and emotion for the belief that despite all odds, love is always worth fighting for.